Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. It is Sunday, January 5th, 2025. It's a little bit past 3:30 in the afternoon on the East Coast here, and the winter storm is really wrapping up as we had been forecasting over the last several days. I'm going to show you some satellite imagery, then I'm going to show you some model forecast information from the high-resolution rapid refresh model, and then I'm going to dive into GeoCollaborate and show you where some of the biggest impact areas are going to be, and then we'll call it a day for this update. Now, I do want to show you a series of satellite images. First, we've had a couple of questions about what is the SISE. The SISE is part of the All Hazards Consortium. That's what this video update is being produced for. We opened it up to the public so you could understand what's going on with some of the weather impacts, particularly extreme weather impacts. And the All Hazards Consortium has a group called the SISE, the Sensitive Information Sharing Environment, where we share information across private sector organizations and state emergency operations centers, and also some federal agencies. So we're all on the same page looking at the same data at the same time. That's one of the reasons we use GeoCollaborate for, so we can collaborate across platforms. What I'm going to be showing you is some satellite imagery, and then I'm going to show you some model forecasts, and then I'm going to dive into GeoCollaborate and show you where some of the biggest impacts are expected from this rapidly developing winter storm. For the East Coast, mid-Atlantic states could be one of the biggest snowstorms in the last 3 years, with snowfall totals of 8 to 10 inches. Some folks may even see higher amounts. Well, let me show you what's happening here. This is the GOES East satellite image. I've combined a couple of different satellite channels. You can see colors in the ocean. That is the sea surface temperature data. I show this a lot when I do hurricane updates because that's what fuels hurricanes. Here it's very interesting to see. As a matter of fact, you can see how cold it is off the East Coast. And this is the Gulf Stream. You can see coming up here, water temperatures in the 70s in the Gulf Stream, but in the 50s along the East Coast. And that's where we can see, look where the water gets warmer. That's where clouds form when warm ocean, or when the cold air moves over the warm ocean temperatures. So it's really cool to see that. This is the storm that is really wrapping up now. You can see that circulation in the satellite imagery. And what I've done here is I've turned on the lightning detection system associated with the GOES satellite. There's a global lightning mapper, GLM sensor, on board the GOES satellite series. It's really cool. This satellite is orbiting at 22,300 miles up in space, and it can detect lightning. And look at this. Some of these lightning flashes you can see happening. This is actually thunder snow, where it's snowing very hard and there is convection. You can see bubbles in the atmosphere. I'm going to dive in a little bit closer here in just a minute. But down here is more significantly some severe weather where there are tornado warnings in effect in Arkansas and northeastern Louisiana. That is another component of this major winter storm. So we have snow, we have sleet and freezing rain being very detrimental to tree branches, to power lines, could bring power lines down here over the next 3 to 4 hours where it's happening. Temperatures are so cold at the surface, but warm up where the snow is formed. Then it falls into warmer air, melts, and then freezes on contact as freezing rain. That is really terrible weather to experience. And then this line of severe weather that's moving through eastern Texas, Louisiana, and then it's going to be moving into Mississippi and then into Alabama tonight. So there could be a chance of nocturnal, nighttime, fast spin up. They're called QLCS tornadoes that could cause damage. Typically, they're not long track very intense tornadoes, but if a tornado, whether it's an EF0 or an EF1, and it hits your house, it's strong enough, that's for sure. So there could be numerous tornadoes that spin up quickly along this severe line. Now, what I want to do is take you to GOES West and show you. Look at the low pressure system spinning here in the Midwest over Kansas and Oklahoma. Watch the perspective when we go to the western satellite, the GOES West satellite orbiting at 135 degrees west longitude and at 0 degrees latitude over the equator, but you can really see that perspective change. And look at this. So here's California, and here is Texas, and here is that low pressure system. You can see the darkness coming. That's the terminator line from the sunset. So as it gets darker, we can see that shadow, that darkness approach and come over the United States. Already getting dark in Maine right now. See, if we go back to the GOES East satellite, you can see that darkness coming. It's twilight, and then the sunset line is coming down. So it's going to be dark soon. That'll move across the United States as it does every day. But here's what I want to do now. On the West Coast, I'll move this over just a little bit so you can see what's going on. We have a few systems that are approaching the West Coast with just rain. Doesn't look like any big atmospheric rivers happening. We'll do more in-depth atmospheric river briefings when an AR3 or higher is forecast to hit the West Coast. Right now, this is a low pressure system that will impact the Pacific Northwest, Vancouver, Vancouver Island, Oregon, and Northern California with just some showers. Doesn't look like anything major. But what I want to do now is dive into the severe weather. And here I am using the GOES East satellite. This is the one orbiting operationally over the eastern part of the country. And you can see these bumps in the clouds. See these? These are producing quick spin-up tornadoes right now in eastern Arkansas. And this is Louisiana, northeastern Louisiana. Some of these cells here have small tornadoes associated with them. Pay attention to your local National Weather Service office, your local broadcast meteorologist. Also, if you have a NOAA weather radio, that can alert you even when you're sleeping. Sometimes it's tough. If you have a cell phone, you're waiting on an app to give you a warning, and a cell phone, a cell tower is impacted. That could impact your ability to get a warning. But NOAA weather radio is typically very reliable in letting you know what's going on as far as these storms go. And you can see these extending all the way down across Louisiana here. These are all bumps in the clouds. These are thunderstorms that have strong updrafts and exceeding the height of the regular clouds there. This is called overshooting tops. So this shows you where severe weather is located. And we watch this. This mesoscale imagery is every 1 minute. So you can see how quickly these storms are moving and these waves are moving on up the front. Let's go to the east. GOES East. This is the brand new satellite, GOES 19. This is their mesoscale sector. This data is still being checked out. It's not operational yet, but the two active mesoscale sectors on the GOES East satellite are further west. However, the non-operational GOES 19 satellite, one of the mesoscale sectors is over the mid-Atlantic, and I've been getting texts and emails of people saying, what's going on? When is it going to start in Maryland and Virginia and Washington, D.C. and Pennsylvania? So I thought I would show this one as well. You can see here's Washington, D.C. This is Baltimore right up here where the Inner Harbor is. This is the Maryland Bay Bridge going over to Kent Island and Maryland's eastern shore. And then down here is Norfolk, down here in Virginia Beach. In southeastern Virginia. Well, you can see the high clouds have been moving over Maryland, all in advance of this low pressure system that's going to be coming towards Maryland. And I expect the snow to start around midnight around Washington, D.C. and Annapolis and Baltimore across the eastern shore. And then is it going to get pretty heavy pretty quickly. I'll show you that on a high-resolution rapid refresh model directly. We have access directly to the National Centers for Environmental Prediction, part of NOAA and the National Weather Service, right into their databases where they run this model every hour, and I'll show you the output there. But you can see the clouds thickening up. There's precipitation already, snow falling in West Virginia and southwestern Virginia. Here, you can see the bumps in the clouds here. There is snow falling in southwestern Virginia around Blacksburg, Virginia Tech, and those areas. And then down into North Carolina, this is rain. Temperatures in the 40s there right now. But you can see the bumps in the clouds. That means some convective activity is happening there, but nothing like thunderstorms are happening. It's just really some maybe heavier rain showers. But here is Garrett County in Maryland, and then this is the Appalachian Mountain chain that goes up and down the East Coast. And that is what's going to kick off some very heavy snows as these clouds and moisture hit these mountains, go up, and create some heavier snow during the night tonight and into the day tomorrow. So I expect a foot or more of snow in some of the western mountains here in West Virginia and western Maryland, localized areas more than a foot. This is the high-resolution rapid refresh model from the National Weather Service, the National Centers for Environmental Prediction. I'm focusing in here on the winter impact weather so you can see what is going to be heading towards the mid-Atlantic area. You can see right now, this model was initialized at 19 Z, so that was about an hour and a half ago. Right now, the time is 3:47. So this was initialized at about 2 p.m. this afternoon. And I'm going to take it slowly ahead. So any of the areas that you see here in the red is freezing rain. There might be some sleet indicated up here, but this is primarily freezing rain, and this is snow in the blue, heavier snow in the darker blue, and lighter snow in the very light blue. These are showers and thunderstorms down to the south. These are the ones coming through Arkansas about an hour ago. So let's take this and put this into motion. This is the time up here, 19Z. So as we go 1 hour ahead, this should be about now, where you can see the snow in southwestern Virginia and West Virginia. And then that's extending down into south central Virginia as well. That is showing up on radar, and so this is hitting the ground. So as we go into the time, you can see the time advancing. 0Z is about 8 p.m. this evening. So by 8 o'clock this evening, we'll have snow moving into central Virginia, light snow into central Virginia here, but it may be evaporating initially before it hits the ground. If you look at the sky, you may see it looks like it has some fuzzy bottom to it. That is virga. That's sublimation from the snow evaporating because it's still dry at the surface. If anybody got out of their cars today and got a little shock, it's very dry here in the mid-Atlantic area, but moderate to heavy snow is not far away. And look at this, freezing rain through Paducah, Kentucky. They're getting it now. The trees are getting heavy. There are some power flashes there in the Paducah area, and even in southern Illinois and Indiana, we're talking about a major ice storm warning in effect in this area. And I'll show you that in GeoCollaborate here in just a few minutes. Now let's take this on into about, this is about midnight. And so that's when I expect the snow to start around Washington, D.C., probably around midnight. This is actually 11 p.m. to midnight. But look at this, around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, the snow is going to get heavy in Washington, D.C. So this is light snow, this is heavier snow, and it's going to continue. Look at this. It'll move into the eastern shore of Maryland, and it will get heavy pretty quickly with sleet and freezing rain down I-81 towards Roanoke, and also down to southeast Virginia, where there'll be pockets of rain, sleet, and freezing rain where those cold temperatures hang around. So this is also freezing rain in here throughout Kentucky into West Virginia. There could be some serious icing on the power lines and trees in West Virginia. This is warm air coming up here, so there may just be plain old rain. Bluefield, West Virginia, up into the mountains of West Virginia. There could just be plain rain during the night tonight. And as we advance this on, this time is at 8Z. So that's 3 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be snowing very heavily throughout Maryland, Annapolis, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Just to the north, it'll be a little bit lighter snow, but it will be falling and it will be sticking to the ground. It's been very, very cold in the mid-Atlantic. And then look at this. Heavy snow moves into the area and just blankets the state of Maryland, and that is early in the morning. So this is 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. The snow should be getting quite heavy and the wind's blowing around. Driving is not recommended during this period of time, and freezing rain continues in parts of West Virginia, southern Ohio, Kentucky, into southern Indiana, and just ending in Illinois as heavy snow. Once this ends, and you get on the back side of this low pressure system, northerly winds bring in that cold air and transition the freezing rain. It'll really lower the temperatures throughout the entire column of the atmosphere and bring moderate to heavy snow as this ends. But look at how this persists. This heavy snow persists in central Maryland at least until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning as this low pressure system moves to the south. And freezing rain is expected to continue through parts of West Virginia. Heavy snow in Garrett County, Maryland. And look at this. It continues on here. This is 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And it still continues in Annapolis down towards Charles County, in St. Mary's County, southern Maryland. Look at this in Salisbury and the lower eastern shore. Very heavy snow expected to be falling during the day tomorrow, and that continues. The snow continues throughout the day with periods of moderate to heavy snow moving through. So we're talking about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, another heavy swath of snow. It may change over to rain in Maryland's lower eastern shore. That's heavy rain there if enough warm air moves in. Again, this is the high resolution rapid refresh model forecast, and look at this, the patches of snow, moderate to heavy snow continuing. This is continuing all the way through till 8 o'clock tomorrow night. This is 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, with periods of heavy snow moving through 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, so around midnight. So it looks like we'll have about a 24-hour period of moderate to heavy snow at times moving through central Maryland, and then that'll be pulling off the coast. And it ends at around 2 in the morning or so on the eastern shore and in Delaware, with just some snow showers kicking off because of the moisture being squeezed out by the cold air. So that's what it looks like for the snow duration. Well, where are the impacts as far as the winter weather is concerned? So I'm going to turn on, remember that data set I showed yesterday? That is the Winter Storm Severity Index. So here it is in GeoCollaborate, and I'm showing you this. This is interactive, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We have blizzard warnings in effect in Kansas, in northwest Missouri as well. High impact areas here in the red. That means, and let me put on the legend here for what this means. Major impacts. Avoid travel in any of these areas that you see in red, even in orange. It's going to be very difficult to travel once the snow starts. And in this area, look at this, extreme hazardous conditions, travel not advised at all. This is around Louisville, Kentucky, around Paducah, Kentucky, in these areas where freezing rain is falling. Just 1/100 of an inch of freezing rain can make the roads glass, just total slippery. It doesn't matter if you have a Jeep, doesn't matter if you have a big truck, doesn't matter if you have a truck with 8 tires or more. You cannot get grip on ice. And so this is showing you areas where it's very, very dangerous to drive. In the orange area here, hasn't started yet in Maryland, but look at this. Even when it does start, it's expected to get very dangerous all up and down the I-95 corridor, even south of Washington, D.C. Travel is not advised. If you have to go out and it's an emergency, please have a safety kit with you. You can look a couple couple of videos ago, I went through what you need in your car in case you have to go out and you get stuck or stranded. It's very important, but travel is expected to get very dangerous from Baltimore down to Washington and even down south to Stafford County in Virginia, and also throughout Kentucky and throughout West Virginia, where freezing rain is going to be falling. It's going to be very dangerous. So if you live in anywhere you see orange here, even in southern Pennsylvania and southern New Jersey, travel is going to be very dangerous when the precipitation starts. Remember, once it starts, you see a few light snow flakes around midnight or 1 in the morning. By 2 in the morning, it's going to be snowing really hard in central Maryland. There's not going to be much of a time when you start seeing a few snowflakes to when the heavy snow starts. So that's what this product is. It is the Winter Storm Severity Index. We've talked about this a lot within the All Hazards Consortium, what it means. Utility workers, communication companies appreciate this type of product because they know where to focus their attention on impacts so they can keep cell phones operating, cell towers operating, the critical infrastructure operating, such as electricity. And we have to move prescription drugs across the country. So we have to take detours around some of this high impact weather to make sure that prescription medications make it into pharmacies. That's important for everybody to keep a healthy America here. So I'm going to do another thing here. I'm going to turn off this particular data set. I'm going to turn off the winter storm impacts and just focus here for a minute on the ice accumulation. This is where we expect ice accumulation and where it to be quite dangerous. So in southeastern Missouri, and let me just make sure here, I'm going to do one thing within GeoCollaborate, and I'm going to make sure that the data sets here are the very latest ones that have been updated by the National Weather Service. So I'm going to turn that one off, and I'm going to turn on the new one, and yes, it is the same one, verifying that this is the latest information that I'm showing you here. This is where the high impact area is, major impact in southeast Missouri from freezing rain, and moderate impacts throughout Louisville, Frankfort, Lexington, Kentucky. I see some red in here around Lexington where there could be major impacts here, and that looks like Fayette County in Lexington, Kentucky, where a freezing rain and icing is getting pretty serious. So remember, freezing rain doesn't take a lot on the road to cause slipperiness. So stay off of the road. This is focusing solely on ice accumulation. So you can see it throughout southern Indiana, around Evansville here, Kentucky, Paducah, Kentucky, and then Owensboro, Kentucky, Elizabethtown, all the way through to into West Virginia, where we're going to have these where valleys where the cold air really saturates the ground and the lower levels of the atmosphere. We're going to have some significant freezing rain in West Virginia, and also where it's not freezing rain, it will be snow. And that's highly impactful to driving. And that is what's going to be happening here. Now, it hasn't all started yet in the Maryland area. This for freezing rain is going to be limited to the south, because all of this area is expected to be snow. That is why there's no big danger here for freezing rain. But if I turn off the ice accumulation data, okay, there we go, and I turn on the winter storm impacts, where we go back to snow, this is going to be high impact here over on Maryland's eastern shore, around Dover Air Force Base in Frederick, Maryland, all up and down the I-95 corridor. I don't know if any of you remember, but back in 2022, there was a snowfall of 8 to 12 inches that happened south of Washington, D.C., and it took people more than 24 hours to get up Route 95 to get to Washington, D.C. Cars were stranded for 24 hours on a major highway on the East Coast. So there could be significant impacts here. Driving is not advised. Highly likely that school will be closed tomorrow throughout the state of Maryland because of this storm. It's just going to be too dangerous to put school buses on the road, and I suspect we'll have impacts on into Tuesday as well. Why? Because the cold air is going to remain in place, and that cold air is going to give us, is going to make the ice hard to get rid of over the next several days. So that is the forecast, and that's how I want to end the briefing here. I'll end it with some of the satellite imagery from the GOES satellite, and certainly it's the clouds are increasing and in thickness, and the rain will be confined to the south. Severe weather, severe thunderstorms moving through the south right now, all associated with this very strong low pressure system that's going to drive cold air back down behind it. And we'll have several days with temperatures below freezing, which will make this snow that falls in the mid-Atlantic area stick around for a while. If anybody's watching in areas like southern Pennsylvania, and we're talking about York County, places like that, it looks like you will get snow, but maybe 2 to 4, perhaps 5 or 6 inches of snow. It looks like the heavier snow is going to remain to the south here across the state of Maryland and into Virginia. So thanks very much for watching this update. I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. We'll have another update during the day tomorrow, and that's when the snow will be coming down fairly heavily on the East Coast in the state of Maryland and in Virginia, and perhaps southern Pennsylvania as well. This update, once again, is provided for the All Hazards Consortium, the sensitive information sharing environment, where we share information across platforms so we can all be on the same map at the same time, looking at the same data. So thanks so much for watching. Please take care of yourself. We do have a high likelihood of power outages in many parts of the country that are getting freezing rain. Please watch out for your neighbors as well. They do appreciate it. In this particular storm, watching out for your neighbors could actually save their life. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.